Welcome back to Mental Health Matters with me. This is a brand new episode, and this time around, we are doing things differently. I have caught up with the Ultimatum South Africa, where there are six couples that come to the show and are given the ultimatum. The partners are given the ultimatum to propose or to move on with someone else. So this caught my attention, all thanks to social media because I don't really watch a lot of TV, but based on everything that was going on social media, I thought I need to hop onto this because I'm constantly talking about relationships, communication, patterns, dynamics, dating, marriage. And I really believe that our mental health is 100% connected to the relationships that we have, especially in an intimate, romantic relationship or in a relationship where you are looking for a life partner. You are willing to spend your whole entire life with someone and build something. Any kind of relation, in fact, involves our mental health. So I thought, why not hop into it? Because I figured that I have a different perspective, and why not share it with everyone just to see where we stand, and if we were able to figure out some of the patterns and reflect about ourselves when it comes to relationships. So let's get into it. Now, I am just going to start with a couple that really stood out for me because they didn't make it, of course, until the end. Things really got really bad, and there's a lot that happened. And why not start with that? Because a lot of people find themselves saying that, you know what, relationships are not working for me. Men are so difficult, and women are like this and that. And you find those people that are saying, well, I don't know what a woman wants, or I don't know what a man wants. And this is influenced by your patterns, of course. It is influenced by your childhood traumas, absolutely. It is influenced by your background. And you don't necessarily have to go through traumas, but you do need to note the fact that whoever was your parent or guardian at that point in your life when you were a child was role modeling the idea of love, the idea of relationships, the idea of marriage, the idea of partnership. So we need to keep in mind that our parents, our legal guardians, the adults that we grew up with around us, whether it was your parent or your aunt or your uncle, whoever that was around you, they were the people that shaped how you would view relationships as an adult, or the kind of adult that you would be, and the relationships that you would have with other adults. We can't run away from that. And I think in the ultimatum essay, we were able to see that really well. So I'm going to start with Malebo and Nola. Now, first and foremost, what I've picked up about Malebo, and we can also see that in most women in relationships, whether it's a serious situation or not. What I've picked up is Malebo's motherly figure vibes, or maybe I should just say motherly vibes that Malebo has. Malebo strikes me as the kind of partner that wants to take care of her partner. And she's the kind of partner that's going to let you know that this is wrong and this is right and this is not okay and this is supposed to be done that way and so on. And it really made me reflect a lot and think about the fact that we attract what we lack. We attract what we lack, whether we are aware or not aware, whether we are conscious or not conscious. We usually attract what we lack. So when I look at Nola and how Nola behaved throughout this whole entire season, for me, it made me realize actually that it makes sense why Nola was attracted to Lebu, because Nola did say in the middle of the show that he lost his mother at a very young age and never had that relationship, never had the chance to really experience a mother and child relationship. So he usually tends to appreciate women a lot. And of course, that comes across as flirting, and it gets deeper as we've seen on the show. But when someone is suffering and when someone hasn't healed their mother wounds, when we talk about mother wounds, we are talking about people that have had broken relationships with their mothers, people that have had issues. Some people have lost their mothers at a young age, just like Nola. What happens is that when we don't deal with that, we tend to attract people that resemble that. We tend to attract people that give us that feeling of what it means to be loved by a mother. So I think Lebu really resembled that. And she's probably not aware. Many people are not aware that tend to act like the parent in a relationship. And I really think that was what happened and what transpired. Definitely, I don't think they're compatible, because if they chose to move forward with this, then it would be a kind of trauma bonding for Nola. And this wouldn't be good on Lebo. It would be strenuous on her. This is why she gave up. She gave up because she could feel like, listen, I'm done. I'm tired. I am tired. And only if both of them were to realize this truth and Nola were to actually seek help and deal with his mother wounds, then maybe if they had to give it a try, things would work out. But I really think they're not compatible. So moving forward, let's go to Ruth and Isaac. Now, for me, Ruth and Isaac are compatible. I know it's strange. I know it's a little bit like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? But they actually are, because for me, I feel like Ruth is, we've seen it, very playful, fun, free-spirited, honest, and transparent, which is really good, because she's not afraid to say, this is what I did, or this is what I want to do. She's not afraid to be herself. Honest, transparent, very expressive. She will tell it like it is. She's not going to try and make it seem like, no, I don't mean this, or play games. She's not about that life. And for me personally, I gotta give her the props. And also with Isaac is also like that. Isaac is also like that, straight to the point. Let's get to it. If Isaac wants to deal with you right now and fight you, he will do it. If Isaac wants to have a serious conversation right now and get to the bottom of it, he will do it. And I think that's what attracted them to each other. However, going back to what I said, you attract what you lack. I think Isaac regards a relationship as something that is very serious, and it's like a routine. And if you are the man, you have to act like this. And if you are the woman, you have to act like this. And you're not allowed to have fun. I think, we don't know much about Isaac's background, but on the show, he invited, at some point, his siblings, the sister and brothers, and a friend, I think. And from what the brother said, I remember when the brother was asking Kanya, Kanya was Isaac's trial marriage partner. He said something like, he asked Kanya if Kanya can cook. And I figured, I'm like, okay. So Isaac comes from a traditional background, very traditional. I think probably grew up with that idea of what is a man expected to be and do and act like in a marriage, in a relationship, and how is a woman supposed to be. A woman is supposed to be submissive. A woman is supposed to cater to the man, and a man is supposed to act. So I think Isaac is conflicted because Isaac is a fun person, just like Ruth. But the problem is he expects Ruth to act in a particular way, and that's not fair. And I think the lesson here is that Ruth was in Isaac's life to remind Isaac that you can still have fun in a marriage with your partner that you committed yourself to. You can still have fun in a relationship with your partner. You can still wild out and have fun with your partner. It doesn't, marriage or a relationship or a connection doesn't have to be like a routine or a job. You can still fun. You can still have fun and reinvent the fun and explore and have the most adventurous moment with one partner, one person, to keep the relationship fresh and dynamic. This is why Ruth had the most fun with Nola. Yes, what they did was wrong, and there are so many things we can say about that. We saw that, and they had to deal with the harsh consequences, Ruth and Nola. Nola being her trial partner. But at the end of the day, that was the lesson. And if Ruth and Isaac were to come back together, Isaac needs to realize that it's okay to have fun. It's okay to wild out with your partner. It doesn't necessarily have to include other people. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that if we don't have fun, then something is wrong or we're not doing things wrong. There's no manual to it. And that's just all that I want to say. Otherwise, I think both of them have really good qualities. So that is my take on that. Why is it that we constantly want to make it seem like relationships, like a marriage, it's like, oh, you come home, the wife will cook and make dinner, and then we eat dinner, wash the dishes, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, go to work, come back, sit down, watch TV, read, watch the news, eat dinner. Like, why does it have to be like that? Why does it have to be like that? We are a new generation of people, and we can be whatever and whoever that we want to be. So that's just how I feel about that. So now moving on, I am going to talk about Tabby and Genesis. First of all, Tabby and Genesis, for me, they absolutely ticked all the boxes. They understand each other. They are compatible. They are on the same frequency. You know, I feel like Tabby and Genesis understand each other's thoughts. But they came to this show, of course, because Genesis could not commit, or was hesitant to commit, And I remember Tabby constantly saying that, like, Genesis has the money, Genesis can save up to do things that he wants to do. But when it comes to getting married, he's constantly saying, oh, it's gonna cost him a lot of money and this and that. And I feel like Tabby felt like that's an excuse, and I also felt like that's an excuse. But both Tabby and Genesis are fairly young, just like most of the couples. However, I think that Genesis, for me, is a go with the flow kind of guy. Like, he's just enjoying his late 20s, and he just wants to be. He just wants to be. You know, he's that bubbly personality, fun. He's just always just joking around. And when it's time to be serious, he can be serious. And he's a very wise person. but at the same as Tabi. So I think they've got a lot of similarities. They're very wise. You know, when it's time to be mature in a situation, they can be very mature. When it's time to have fun, they can have fun. When it's time to do this, they're able to do that really, really well. But because Tabi is a woman, and you know, there's this research that has been done that apparently males or men are 5 years behind in terms of maturity compared to women. So if a woman is 25, then she will absolutely act 25 and even older. But if a man is 25 years old, he can think and act like a 20-year-old. So there's a 5-year delay for some men or most men, not all, of course, but I think I could really see that. I could see that, you know what, Genesis is still pretty much deep in his 20s, and he wants to have fun and all of that. And hopefully Tabi has realized this, because I think at the end they were like, they are just taking the time to go through the process before getting married and all of that, and preparing and all of that. But I genuinely think there's nothing wrong with Genesis. Genesis is just being a young person and enjoying the moment and just going with the flow. So he also has a lot of fear around marriage, because it's just something that really scares a lot of men, from what I've realized also in the show. Like, they just feel like they're going to lose their freedom or independence or something like that. Because naturally men are independent species, and for this society that we live in, for the longest time in the world, men or boys have always been so free to be and do to be so free and do whatever it is that they want to do. And for us as girls or as women, we've always been restricted. There's always a lot of restrictions. We are always protected. Parents become very protective and so on. So I understand the fear that plagues a lot of men and young men when it comes to marriage. But, you know, it is important, especially if you want to build a family, if you want to build stability. It is important for those people that are thinking about life in that direction. So moving forward, I am going to go to Kanya and Nkateko. So there was a lot of backlash around Kanya. People were mad. People were feeling sorry for Nkateko. They were like, how is it that you're with this kind of person? What is happening here? This is a mess. People were dragging Kanya. People were talking about all the horrible things. And there was this one lady that came on TikTok, and she said that she went to the same school as Kanya, and Kanya is one of the girls that bullied her and all of that. So besides all of that talk and, you know, people just going in on her, from the beginning of this show, I felt like something is wrong. This lady, this beautiful lady, is going through something. There's something that she's going through. Something is wrong with Kanya. Something is happening with Kanya. From the get-go, from the beginning, the very, very beginning, I felt like she's going through something. For me, I saw a beautiful young lady who's willing to stand up for herself any day, any time, but who is struggling from a low self-esteem, who is very anxious. I know this is like, what are you talking about? Because Kanya was the one actually bullying people and insulting people, but that is her defense mechanism. That is her. I can guarantee right now, Kanya experiences a lot of insecurities. For me, she was the most insecure woman on that show. And her defense mechanism was to be mean, to insult other people, to throw tantrums, to go crazy. But inside, she's suffering. And I feel like the lesson that Kanya is supposed to teach Nkateko is boundaries, self-awareness, standing up for yourself, being assertive. Because Nkateko is not that. Nkateko is a charming guy, very social, very open, very respectful to other people. But now, the question is actually, is Nkateko able to stand up for himself? Besides Kanya, okay, besides dealing with Kanya in any other situation, in every other situation, Nkateko is always willing to help people and assist people and be open and be nice and make other people smile and make other people laugh. But when someone does something bad to hurt him, is he able to stand up for himself? No. So I think that through Kanya acting in this way, this was a very good lesson for Nkateko to stand up for himself and say, Kanya, I love you, you're my partner, but I am not going to tolerate 1, 2, and 3. I am not going to allow you to emasculate me, to make me feel less than, just because you are feeling that way. That's it. This is why he ended up giving Kanya a promise ring, because he was like, I'm not going to give you what you want. You have to earn it. You have to work for it. And in turn, I think Kanya learned that actually, I can't keep on spilling my problems, my insecurities on my partner and make him my punching bag. It's not fair. Or anybody else, because she also body shamed Sizagele. And yes, she apologized about that. But it just kind of shows that Kanya was suffering so much so that she wanted other people to take the blame and to feel what she's feeling. That's not fair. And Nkateko is that lesson in Kanya's life. No matter what happens to them, whether they become lifetime partners, whether they get married or not married or whatever, but that was the lesson. Nkateko needs to learn to stand up for himself. You can be a nice person and still do not take any kind of BS. I looked at Nkateko and I was like, you know, I feel like at some point I was the female version of Nkateko growing up, of course, not in a marriage situation or in a relationship, in a serious relationship like that, but just growing up and, you know, dating and so on. I feel like I had those kind of qualities where you are constantly so nice, so bubbly, so respectful to people. And people think they can throw that trash on you. And I realized that, hey, actually, you can still be a fantastic person. You can still be nice, but boundaries and respect will come first. I don't care how much you love me and how much I love you. That's going to happen. And if there's no respect, and if you do not respect me, I am not going to stay. So that was the lesson right there. And I hope the both of them are able to see that about themselves and, you know, learn from that. So moving on, let's go to Sizagele and Lindile. I always want to say Lindela, but Lindile. Okay. So also I see a lot of compatibility in this situation because both Lindile and Caesar are people that are very emotional. They are emotionally expressive. They're very emotional, very sensitive. They're not afraid to express their emotions, to show their emotions, which is really good. I wish that more and more people would have the same kind of trait, but we are different people and it is what it is. But both of them are really sensitive. And I think that Lindile is the kind of guy, Lindile is a teddy bear. Like, Lindile is a gentle brother. He's a gentleman, um, and is emotionally available, definitely. So I think it's very good for Caesar because Caesar is also very emotional. It's, she cries easily, she's constantly laughing, and so on. We could see that. And she really needs someone who will be able to allow her to be vulnerable, to allow her to be vulnerable. And for me, I saw that a lot in myself, and I thought about myself and my partner, and I thought, you know, at the beginning, my partner couldn't understand, but I was like, listen, I'm just gonna burst out crying, and I would like you to be there and to open up and listen and give me the space to express myself. You don't necessarily have to do anything about it. You don't have to find solutions to my emotions and my vulnerabilities and my issues, but be there, be emotionally available. And I think that was fantastic. Now, I think the only reason why Caesar is hesitant or was hesitant about getting married is once again because of a childhood traumatic event. And Caesar did express the fact that her mom and dad got separated or divorced. I'm not very sure, I can't remember, at a young age. So she carries a lot of fear around marriage. And for me, it made it seem like she feared that, okay, Lindela is a great guy, they get married, and somewhere down the line, maybe Lindela is going to betray her and leave her all alone, just like her mom was left all alone all those years. So this is something that Caesar needs to deal with and seek help. This is what I mean by dealing with it. Dealing with it is seeking help and understanding the fact that Lindela and herself are not in the same position as her parents. What happened to her mom, what happened to her dad is sad, but that's their situation, that's them. So she cannot continue to carry the cross of her mom or of her dad and that situation. She's in a new situation. She's a different person. Lindela is a different person, and she needs to give things a chance because both of them are great. I've never seen people that are emotionally available and vulnerable with each other, and it's so beautiful. They're not afraid to, they don't have time to play tough girl or tough guy. There's no need to do that in a relationship. We need to be able to be vulnerable and be safe with each other. And I think that's exactly what they resembled for me. So lastly, we have Connie and Aiden. Now, Connie for me is a very mentally strong person, very mentally strong. Listen, you cannot trick her. You cannot trick her. She will deal with you now. She's mentally strong, very independent, and not very, no, it's not very easy for her to trust, like she said, and open up emotionally. But now you get Aiden. Aiden is someone who's also emotionally available, just like Lindela, and he's the kind of guy that will be there for you. I saw how Aiden was so comforting to Lebu and, just being so supportive. So I think he's able to do that. But the question is he free to express his own emotions and open up? I think that is the difficulty that they had between them, between Connie and Aiden. Connie couldn't really figure out where Aiden is what is he thinking, what is he feeling. In terms of communication, you find that a lot of guys are so closed off and they're not able to communicate their feelings really well, and I found that to be a common problem in most situations. I really think Aiden was able to realize that because of how Courtney dealt with Genesis. Genesis was the trial partner for Courtney. Genesis was very open. Genesis was very open. Genesis would say something like to Courtney, you know what? I don't know if you feel comfortable with this. I don't know if you don't like me. I don't know what's happening. He would constantly communicate just to try and figure out where Courtney is. And I think that Aiden learned so much from that. So with all these couples and all these patterns and all these things that I've really learned, and I hope that we all learned, just to summarize, I really think that your background, your childhood traumas, your experiences, and how you witnessed adults around you treat each other in relationships has a very powerful and strong influence on the kind of partner that you're going to be, the kind of person you're going to be on an intimate and non-intimate level, whether it's a commitment or a short-term relationship or just a dating experience. So it's very important for us to realize that and to work on those issues, because at the end of the day, the person that you're with is going to reflect back all your weaknesses, whether you like it or not. They are there to teach you to do something about all your weak points, about all the things that you've never thought would affect you as an adult. So this is what I'm always preaching, and I hope that it's clear, because it is a work in progress. It's extremely difficult. Sometimes you have to remind your partner, sometimes you have to remind a person a million times that I don't appreciate this, I don't appreciate this, until they get it. But sometimes you have to leave. And sometimes it has to hurt until they get it. So hopefully we never get to that point. But we are able to realize that we can work, and relationships are not a comfort zone. Marriage is not a comfort zone. It's a work in progress. You're constantly working to maintain it. It's like a car. You have to maintain a car. You have to maintain, and even well-maintained cars will give you problems, just like a marriage. But you have to make sure that you are patient, open, and honest about who you are and what you want. And lastly, compromise. So thank you so much. I hope this was informative but fun. And I will see you in the next episode. Please make sure that you like, subscribe, and stay tuned. See you next time, and take care.